I just want to say to folks that are anxious about a knock on the door, when we talk about knowing your rights, no abras la puerta. Now, without a warrant, you don't have to open the door. Without a warrant, you do not have to open the door.
So picture a Republican governor making a video used with taxpayer money, telling voters how to, cheat on their taxes or how to buy illegal guns. What would the reaction be? Well, CNN, of course, would call for him to be imprisoned, but it wouldn't because they care about the law, obviously. The Republicans do. On the left, a new reality is now explicit. Our laws and our Constitution are only valid if they're in accord with current Democratic Party talking points. Otherwise, you can ignore them. Buck Sexton is the host of the Buck Sexton Show, and he joins us tonight. So, Buck, you hate to be continuously outraged over the same story, but every week it seems to get crazier and crazier, and now we have lawmakers calling enforcement of the law a crime against humanity. Where does this end?
There's a momentum to the insanity at this point, Tucker. It's quite clear.
Yes.
That
Exactly.
they're engaged in mass nullification of immigration law. That is what is happening now. At any stage of the process, whether it's in sanctuary cities, we're talking about enforcement for people with final deportation orders. And this was all part of the con. Initially, there were no caravans, and there was not going to be any problem, no crisis at the border. And then it was, okay, there's a lot of people at the border, but we just have to let people go through their process. And if they don't get to stay after that, we promise we'll be okay with them being sent home. And now we know that that was a lie all along, too. They keep telling lies about this, and they're honestly running out of room at this point. And that's what we're facing nullification. And by the way, when you put up those lists, they're getting very close to violating another statute over immigration. I'm sure they wouldn't care, which is aiding and abetting. You can't actually harbor illegal immigrants. You can't actually employ illegal immigrants. There are all kinds of laws out there. And some of these Democrats seem to think that they should do whatever they can to obstruct law enforcement efforts. They want to talk about danger to the public. This is dangerous.
It's crazy, but it's also unfair on one level. I mean, so they're telling foreign nationals they don't have to abide by American law. They can ignore our laws. But they're telling me that I have to follow every American law, and if I step outside the bounds of those laws, I go to jail. So, why am I paying my taxes? Sincerely, why can't I buy a silencer? Why am I paying attention to all these laws when they're telling residents of Guatemala and Honduras, they don't have to follow the law? I'm not kidding.
There's so much illegality that actually gets piled up when you look at the real statutes. It's a lie, it's against the law to lie to federal officers at the border about what you're fleeing. It's against the law to lie about your age. It's against the law to have a fake Social Security card. You go down the list. It's against the law to engage in document fraud. There is an entire subset of U.S. federal law that is being violated all the time with impunity, and people seem to think in the Democratic side they can just ignore all of this.
At some point, somebody's going to make a defense in court along those lines. These people don't have to follow the law. Why should I? Well, and that's when things really will start to fall apart.
I wish the Democrats would just be honest about what they want. If no one should get deported, if nobody should have immigration law enforced against them, the people like AOC, the legislative body in charge of these laws, they should just say, we want to be open borders. Stop pretending that's not what they want. It so clearly is.
Right. It so clearly is. Buck Sexton, thank you for that clarity. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tucker.